Whoop whoop. Hola mi gente, what's up? Tania here from Art East Sun, and if you are new to my channel, I am just your basic Puerto Rican artist, crafter living in North Carolina. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about the coasters. If you've seen my studio vlog, if you are coming back to my channel, you may have seen that I started making my coasters. And instead of me going step by step on how I make my coasters, I figured you guys may want to just go ahead and paint whatever you want. Normally I do my flags, but I don't think I need to teach you how to paint the flag. And I've also started my fall season, but again, I just don't feel like I need to tell you what to paint, because you can paint virtually whatever you want on them. But just in case you are curious as to what materials and tools I use, I'm gonna go ahead and make this video here. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet and just basically let you know what materials I use and in what sequence I use them in. If you appreciate this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any other ideas or if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments and I'll be able to hopefully be able to answer it as quickly as possible. And otherwise, let's just get to it. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm gonna go ahead and just briefly show you some of the equipment that I use to make my coasters. I'm not really gonna go through the process of how I paint them, because I think that's just subjective. You make them and paint them however you want. I will show you, I'll put a picture up here of the coasters that I do purchase from Amazon. I purchased the pack with both the square and the circle coasters, just so that I can have a variety of coasters, but also the square ones I use on my handmade stands, which I put that in a different video. Now, for this one, which is the one that I've been promoting the most, well, I've been promoting the Puerto Rican flag, but this is the Cuban flag. And I'm just gonna show you very briefly how I center the circle, just so that maybe you could make it easier for you, even for something such as the pumpkin. Maybe you wanna make sure that it's completely centered, or whatever design that you choose to do. For all my other ones, I hand paint them, and because I chose to do an off-centered design for these, so therefore I don't follow the circles. But I will go ahead and tell you just basically the tools that I use. So as I mentioned, I buy the coasters that are specifically in a pack with both the squares and the circles. These are approximately 4 inches. And I say approximately because it says 4 inches on the store, but once you measure it, I think it's like a hair, just like 1/8 short from 4 inches. I don't know if we can see that well. And then what I do though, in order for me to make my circle centered, I center it as much as possible in between those 4 inches. And I mark at the 0.6 mark, and I mark at the 5 or 0.5 coming from 4 and back. And I do the same thing the other way. So I mark with a white charcoal pencil my dots, just so that I can have my circle centered. I then purchased a stencil like this, which I love having. I use my circles basically for my, not only my coaster designs, but also for my ornaments design. So even on my sketchbook, I just make the circles so that I know how big my design should be. So for the purposes of this coaster, I use this size right here, which is the 3-inch, okay? And then I go ahead and line it up with my marked dots. I try to make sure that my dots are inside of the circle so that I can paint over it and not have the dots shown over the paint. Another simple way of, if you want to go ahead and do that, is just go ahead and measure the 3, or at least just measure the circumference from out, so 0.5 all around, or however you want to do it. But that's just my way of trying to get that circle as good as possible. So let me just go ahead and make that circle just so I can demonstrate briefly. Again, I'm not gonna do everything step by step because I do my Puerto Rican flags, but I know that you will possibly make a different design. So there goes my circle. Again, don't forget that these are handmade. So as much as we try to be, perfectionists, a little hair off or whatever it may be, it can happen, okay? So don't beat yourself up over it. So for me to get this stain right here, I'm gonna show you, I mix 3/4 of golden oak with 1/4 of dark walnut. I just felt like this one was too dark and the other one was just not the right shade that I wanted. And so I combined them simply because I just didn't want to go and buy a different color stain. So that's what I have, and therefore I just decided to go ahead and combine them. Now I do want to make sure to tell you that when you decide to mix the stains are very flammable, so you want to make sure you're using either a metal container, or I like to use these. These, I buy them in a pack of, I think, 4 from the dollar store, and they're just convenient for me to mix, again, 3/4 of the light stain and 1/4 of the dark stain. You got glass, so, if you don't use it all up, you are at least not creating anything hazardous. You don't want to put it in a plastic container because, as I mentioned, it is flammable. You want to make sure that you stain your coasters or anything at all in a well-ventilated space. These seem to be the most popular. I do have the light color coasters, and this one I created a stain just by mixing some of the honey brown Deco Art paint, and I diluted it with water. I mixed it in a bottle, again, from the dollar store. I just went ahead and mixed it to the consistency that I found it good enough to be used as a stain, and I just used basic sponges just to go ahead and stain them. The good thing that I like about both of these is that they dry literally within an hour, if not less. So you can go ahead and stain them and walk away for a bit, maybe do something else, and they will be dry by the time you come back. So that's always a good thing. Now, after I paint them, which, by the way, I paint with regular acrylic paint. Sometimes I use paint such as this one. Other times I go ahead and use my, all of my acrylic paints, whatever I want to do. I'm not picky about it when it comes to my crafts, as well, as long as I get the colors that I am looking for. Again, for all of my harvested stuff, this is hand painted, so I don't use a stencil. I just create a sketch prior to me designing my coasters, and I go ahead and hand paint them. Actually, let me go, hold on one moment. All right, guys, so while I was talking about it, since I did mention it, this is how I design my coasters, and I just decided to go ahead and show you so that maybe you can utilize it for yourself. Of course, like I always say, when it comes to artists, sometimes we get these ideas of what we want to do when we are, driving around or up and about, running errands or whatever it may be. I always carry a sketchbook. I actually always carry multiple sketchbooks, but this one is specifically for coaster designs. So I draw the outline of what the shape of the coaster may be, and I design my coasters, and I keep them all in a sketchbook just so that I can refer back to. Maybe I don't do it right away, but if I have an idea at any given point of a coaster that I do want to design, oh, I just realized you can't see those because the pencil is too light. But this is just how basically I keep kind of like a catalog of coaster designs or coaster ideas that I may want to do. And I just think it's a good idea for you to kind of organize yourself. And again, sometimes you may have an idea at the most inopportune time, or you may not be able to go ahead and design a coaster at that time, but you kind of keep a catalog. So I keep a sketchbook specifically just for coaster designs, and then I keep another one for some of my ornaments. So my Christmas ornaments I put in a separate book. And believe it or not, I forget. Sometimes I'll go ahead and design certain ornaments, and then by the time it comes to the next holiday season, I forgot what designs I actually sold, especially if I don't go back to the pictures, because I do try to take a picture of every ornament, but I just go back. If someone does a specific commission, I go ahead and do a design here as well, just so I can go back to it. And that's just a little tip of the day, I guess, of how you can organize any of your design ideas. But let's just go ahead and move on so I can just tell you the things that I use. So all of these are coated with the UV resin. The UV resin of my choice is Let's Resin, the clear UV hard type. I've tried some other kinds. I can't really tell you the name of them, but I've gone to, let's say, the craft store, Michael's or something like that, and maybe purchased the one that they had there around the jewelry section. And I just don't like those because they have kind of like a yellowish tint to it, and this one is the clearest one. So I purchased this one. This is the 120 grams. I actually just ordered the 500 gram, and I order these from Amazon. It's just easier for me to find, especially now that I'm going to be doing a lot more. I went ahead and purchased the larger one. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. Just as a disclaimer, any of the Amazon links that I put in the description, it is an affiliate link, so I do get a percentage. I do just want to put that out there just to be truthful and honest, but these are I only link the products that I personally use. So I got that. After I do the resin, sometimes I do try to go back with my heat gun right here. This costs probably about $15, again, from Amazon, and I try to get as many of the bubbles as I can. I will say this, from my experience, because this wood is very porous, it is very hard to try to get all the bubbles out. I stopped trying to fight it, and as long as it's not a huge bubble, it don't really bother me. Okay, so once I go ahead and add the coat of UV resin, I use one of my two lights. One is a regular manicure light. I've had this for about maybe 2 years. The only thing that I don't like about this is that it is timed. You can only put it up to 60. I have it disconnected right now, only up to 60 seconds. So you do have to be right in front of it, clicking away, because in order for the UV resin to fully cure, it has to be under the light for at least 15 minutes. And really, in all honesty, I sometimes leave it under the light longer because it remains a little sticky if you take it out too soon, and they'll get stuck to each other or collect dust easier in that, because it's not fully cured. So I do use this, or this is what I've been using. Recently I purchased this light, which is supposed to be for, I guess, the resin sculptures or 3D sculptures. I use this one, and this one, what I like is you plug it in, it stays on, it's not timed. I kind of rigged it with one of my stands, one of these stands. I rigged it so I can hang it up here, and it just makes it easier for me to have over here in the corner, shining my crafts as I make them. So this actually has sped up my time, and I can leave it on for however long I need in order for the items to go ahead and cure. After I complete the resin, I go ahead and I add a stamp right here, and let me show you this. I will say this, I will be honest, my logo or this specific logo is not necessarily stamp friendly because it's not a vector image, but I did like all the details that they got in there. It is a small one. It does, you know, the job, but that's what I do. And then I wanted to make sure I added some cork underneath it. Now they do sell the 4-inch cork circle that you can, you know, it's self-adhesive, so you can just peel and stick. I personally did not want to do that for the purpose of these coasters. I wanted my design on top of the fact that I had all of these sheets that I had purchased before, and these are from the dollar store, and I want to make sure I use these before I purchase anything else. Now, I don't cut the circles out. What I do is I use a regular hole puncher. And I think this is what, 1/18, but it's just a regular hole puncher, and I cut my holes. And this is essentially what I use for my little legs down here. Do they all have it? I think this one doesn't have it. And I just stick it on there, make sure I press on it very well so that it does stay on there. And if you have a larger circle, that should be fine, like one of those big punches or bigger punches, that is absolutely fine. You want to make sure that with these you try to put them even as possible so that it doesn't tip. So you want to make sure that it doesn't completely tip because you're going to have a drink up there, right? So that's what I use for the bottom of my coasters. And then of course, like I showed you in another video, I went ahead and I made, I'm here walking away from you guys, I made a stand. Oh, not this one. Okay, I'm back. I made a stand because I kind of didn't want to sell the coasters by themselves. I wanted just something simple to at least just for them to have a place. The popsicle coasters that I make, I don't have a stand for them. I just go ahead and wrap them, tie them up, and send them that way. But with these, I just kind of wanted something to put up there. And then it's not meant, I will say this, it's not meant to keep them all in place because I do put 4 coasters, so of course the top one can fall off. It's just something that I can go ahead and have a better presentation as far as the packaging goes. And I go ahead and tie it up, and like that they can have something of just go ahead and an allocated place for the coasters to go into. And that's that. I think that's it. That is all that I use for this, for the coasters. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy it. I kept this video as short as possible. I didn't want to go ahead and give you everything, like, you know, show you everything. I'll probably do a little time lapse of me just making some of the coasters. I just wanted to let you know what equipment, what tools, what materials I use to create my coasters. Have a good day. Bye. All right, guys. Well, that's that. Like I said, I was going to keep it short and sweet. Hopefully, I kept it short and sweet. If you have any questions as far as what I use, anything, any comments on it, go ahead and leave that below. I'll go ahead and answer it as quickly as possible. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more stuff like this, please let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. That really helps me out. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.